My dad's girlfriend, who was desperate for kids, became fixated on my pregnancy, calling me daily with parenting advice. Then after my baby was born, they split up because she bought baby supplies and made a memory book using my ultrasound. The baby obsession and the broken engagement. Can you imagine being so desperate for a baby that you try to co-opt someone else's pregnancy, planning out their child's entire life without their permission, and then have it blow up your own relationship? What if I told you my dad's girlfriend actually broke up with him, not because she didn't get a baby, but because she went absolutely bonkers over mine? It was like watching a train wreck in slow motion, and frankly, I was caught right in the middle. So, here's the deal. My father, bless his heart, is dating a younger woman. She, completely understandably, desperately wants kids. My dad? He's got 3 adult children, me included, and is very openly done with baby duty. A few years back, they made this wild agreement. They'd wait it out, see if either of them changed their mind. If not, they'd break up. I told my dad this was a terrible idea, a ticking time bomb, but he just brushed me off. He really thought they could just wish away such a fundamental incompatibility. Fast forward to me getting pregnant. This is my husband and I's first baby, and it's also the first grandchild on both sides. We're over the moon, absolutely thrilled. But my father's girlfriend? She took excited to a whole new, deeply uncomfortable level. From the moment she found out, she became utterly obsessed, inserting herself into every single aspect of my pregnancy. It was relentless. Almost every single day, my phone would ring, and it would be her, bubbling over with name suggestions or unsolicited parenting tips. Anytime I'd mention something I was planning for my baby, she'd jump in, explaining what she'd do or buy instead, as if her opinion was the only one that mattered. She'd constantly ask if I was having a boy or a girl, claiming she had different shopping lists for both. My husband and I knew the gender and name, but we kept it a secret, just for us, until the baby arrived. She even asked if she could attend one of my ultrasounds, just to see what it's like. Honestly, dealing with her was beyond overwhelming. I mean, maybe she thought she was being caring, but we were never, ever close before this pregnancy. Her sudden, intense involvement just made me incredibly uncomfortable. It felt invasive, like she was trying to live out her own motherhood fantasy through me. Then, one Saturday, I stopped by my dad's place to grab some old stuff and walked right into a full-blown argument between them. They immediately said it was about my baby, so they laid it all out. Get this. She wanted my dad to turn either his guest bedroom or his home office into a nursery for their place.
Why?
To make it easier for them to babysit my child. My dad, for once, was actually putting his foot down, refusing to give up either room. I tried to be polite at first, really. I told them, as gently as I could, that I wasn't planning on them babysitting, and I certainly wouldn't be using a hypothetical nursery at their house when I had a perfectly good one at my own place. But she just wouldn't drop it. She kept insisting they'd been waiting so long for a baby in the family, and she wanted to spend as much time as possible with my child. That's when I snapped. I lost my patience completely. Look, I told them, my voice probably shaking with frustration, I understand you two disagree on having a baby, but that is not my problem. You either break up or you leave me alone, because I am done dealing with this. The words just flew out, a raw culmination of months of suppressed irritation. The next day, my father called me. He actually admitted he understood I was frustrated and agreed his girlfriend had been going too far. But then, he did that classic dad thing. He argued that she was just excited and trying to help, and I was being rude for denying her so firmly. He was especially upset about my breakup or leave me alone comment, insisting his relationship was none of my business, and I had no right to comment. My husband and brother were firmly on my side, thankfully. My sister, as usual, stayed pretty neutral. But the more I thought about it, the more mixed up my own feelings got. Was I being too harsh? I spent some time processing, and honestly, the advice I got helped a lot. The idea that she was trying to live out her mom dreams through my kid, or LARPing as a grandmother. It hit home. And the thought of her setting up a full nursery for a baby that wasn't hers and wouldn't even live there? That was just creepy. I'd given my dad the okay for a bassinet in his guest room, just for naps if we were visiting. But a nursery? No way. We live only 20 minutes away, and my baby was certainly not sleeping over at their place. So, after a few days of clearing my head, I realized the real problem wasn't just her calls or her suggestions. It was the fundamental boundary crossing, the way their unresolved relationship issues were spilling directly into my life. I knew how to manage her calls, ignore them, mute them, make excuses. I'd done it before. But this had reached a critical point. The fact that I'd actually considered blocking her, something I'd only done to 3 people in my entire life, and they'd all done far worse, that genuinely scared me. I decided I didn't care about their relationship choices. They were adults, they should figure that out. But I absolutely could not let their drama affect me and my child. When I told my father I was done dealing with this, I meant it with every fiber of my being. I had lunch with my dad on Tuesday and laid down the law. First, I told him that moving forward, I wouldn't be sharing any information about my pregnancy with his girlfriend. And once the baby was born, she would not be babysitting, she would not be left alone with my baby at any point, and she should not expect to get any more pictures or updates than he, my own father, would get. He was not happy, not at all, but I didn't leave any room for argument. He tried to steer the conversation into how I just didn't like his girlfriend and was cold to her, a familiar, annoying tangent. I shut it down. Then, I explained that even though I truly didn't care about his personal decisions, his relationship problems had undeniably infected my life and my baby's life. So yes, I had every right to comment. I looked him straight in the eye and told him that while he might not have a deadline to figure out if he wants more kids, his girlfriend, at 40 years old, very clearly did. They needed to have a real, honest conversation about what they both wanted and decide how to proceed. But whatever they did, she would not be getting her motherhood fix through my child. In the end, he actually agreed with me. He said he'd talk to her, though I didn't expect to hear any updates on that anytime soon. And for the nursery? He promised that no plans were moving forward there. He didn't want it either, so that was an easy win. I'm not going to lie, I didn't think this would end well for them. If they stayed together, I truly believed at least one of them would end up miserable. But as I told my dad, it wasn't my problem anymore. My only concern from that point on was the safety and well-being of my baby. I knew I had what it took to deal with whatever came next. My daughter was born in November. It was chaos, in the best possible way. We initially wanted no visitors, but made exceptions for our mothers. No one else came. My dad and his girlfriend met our little one a couple of days after we brought her home. And let me tell you, those 2 visits? They were hard. She was utterly insufferable, demanding to hold my daughter constantly, hesitating to give her back, even asking to change her diaper, which I immediately shut down. She was snapping pictures every 30 seconds. During the second visit, I said I needed something from the pharmacy, and she actually tried to convince me to leave my newborn with her while my dad and I went to get it. I just said it wasn't urgent and my husband would grab it later. 2 weeks after that, they broke up. It happened in early December, but I didn't get the full, juicy details until right before Christmas. My dad gave me some snippets, but most of the info came from my aunt, who apparently got the whole saga. It turns out they'd been fighting since September. The main reason? My dad's girlfriend had bought a whole bunch of baby stuff, a high chair, baby-proofing kits, diapers, and, most disturbingly, a baby memory book which she had already filled with my information and the last ultrasound picture I'd sent my father. My dad discovered all of this. She apparently told him she was planning to use it to convince me to let her babysit. My dad also suspected she was trying to get him to set up that nursery again. Apparently, they'd even broken up for a week back in 2024 because I got engaged, and she tried to use that as leverage to convince him they should have kids. My dad said they got back together because they loved each other too much to give up. At my wedding later that year, she told my aunt she couldn't wait for me to have a baby. It just kept escalating. The actual, final breakup was so dragged out because their fights just never went anywhere. Knowing my dad, I wasn't surprised. But about a week after their second visit with my daughter, they tried to invite us over. We already had plans. And that, apparently, was the final straw for her. That's when she finally accepted that not only was I not willing to leave my daughter alone with her, but she also wouldn't be seeing my baby as frequently as she so desperately wanted. They broke up for good a few days later. I haven't heard much from my father's now ex since then. She tried asking for pictures of my daughter around Christmas, which was when I promptly blocked her. That was pretty much the end of it. My relationship with my father is actually a lot less draining now, which is a massive relief. But the absolute best part of this whole messy situation? I wasn't told about any of the breakup drama until it was all completely over. Finally, my request to be left alone was respected. And more importantly, I didn't have to keep up with that absolute circus while I was pregnant. I'm getting to know my daughter now, and I can't even begin to describe how much I love this child. Sometimes, I just get overwhelmed thinking about it. Have you ever seen someone so desperate to live vicariously through someone else's life, especially when it comes to having a baby? What would you have done in my shoes, dealing with that level of obsession? Tell me what you think in the comments. I really want to know. Hashtag story 2. The boyfriend, the iPad, and the troll imagine living with someone, loving them, thinking you know them inside and out, only to discover they're the anonymous monster who's been systematically destroying your passion, your confidence, and making your life a living hell. This isn't some movie plot. This is my life. And it's worse than you can possibly imagine. I've been with my boyfriend, Mark, for 3 years. We lived together, and for the most part, he was sweet, funny, kind. We had our disagreements, sure, but nothing serious. He always told me he wasn't really into social media, just Snapchat, he said. Or so I thought. Last night, we were chilling, smoking, just hanging out. He stepped out for a minute to go to the gas station. While he was gone, I kept hearing this weird vibration, a little dinging noise. I couldn't figure out where it was coming from until I realized it was vibrating from under our dresser. Curious, I pulled out this iPad I'd never, ever seen before. It was covered in stickers from his video games, and the wallpaper was a picture of our dog, so it was definitely his. My boyfriend had an iPad? This was news to me. I managed to get into it, and what I saw next chilled me to the bone. Non-stop notifications. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, everything. All these accounts were anonymous, spam-looking, but they were all tied to his email. I started opening the notifications, and I was honestly, utterly disgusted. He was commenting on women's bodies, telling them they needed more makeup, body-shaming them, leaving hateful comments, and trolling people on Reddit with these absolutely fake, cringy stories. On Twitter and Instagram, he was just insulting people for no reason at all. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for what I found next. You see, I love gaming and live streaming with my friends a few times a week just for fun. For the past year, there's been this one account that would always join our stream. This account would say the most racist, vile, disgusting things imaginable, telling us we needed more makeup, that we should dress sexier, insulting our looks, sending us awful, personal messages about how nobody would ever want to watch us looking like that. It got so bad. When we blocked the account, they would just make new ones over and over. It became unbearable. We eventually stopped streaming 6 months ago because of this relentless harassment. At one point, I even considered filing a police report. And then, last night, scrolling through his iPad, I realized it. It was my boyfriend. He had been the troll. The entire time. This wasn't just popping in and leaving a quick, nasty comment. He would stay for the entire live stream, relentlessly saying horrible, personal things about us. My heart shattered. I genuinely, truly did not understand why someone would do this to their own girlfriend. I thought our relationship was good. I thought he loved me. I haven't told him yet. I've been at my friend's house all day because the thought of even looking at him makes me sick to my stomach. Am I overreacting if I break up with him over this? My friend thinks filing a restraining order is going too far, that it could ruin his career. For context, I'm a Black woman, and I have a job and I'm in school. My boyfriend is biracial. We've known each other since high school. And yes, I took his iPad with me. My friends and I did even more digging, and we found even more documented proof. I plan to put the iPad back before he gets home, but there's no way I can fake this relationship or just leave quietly. Honestly, I think it's best if I just drop everything, leave, and make that police report. But is the restraining order really too much? So, after my original post, things exploded, and I got so much support and advice, which I truly appreciate. Before I tell you what happened next, I need to clarify a few things. After my friends and I had that iPad, we found even more than I initially realized. He had active Tinder and Bumble accounts. He had been cheating on me. And those Reddit accounts? He wasn't asking for advice. He was posting fake, explicit sexual stories and fantasies across different NSFW subreddits. And no, for those asking, his job is in a very male-dominated environment, so it wasn't like he was surrounded by women there. As you probably guessed, he realized I had the iPad before his workday was even over. He started texting me, acting overly normal, asking if I was okay, if something was wrong. I played it cool, totally nonchalant, and didn't confront him yet. About 2 hours after he would have been home from work, he completely spiraled. He started blowing up my phone, accusing me of stealing his iPad, demanding I bring his property back, saying he knew I had it because I'd been changing passwords and profile pictures. I just stayed at my friend's house. At that point, his reaction told me everything I needed to know. He didn't care about what he'd done, only that he'd been exposed. The next day, I went back to the apartment with 3 friends waiting in the hallway, just in case. As soon as I walked in, he started apologizing, but only for the cheating. That's when it hit me. He still didn't know I knew about the trolling. Turns out there was a girl he'd been talking to on Snapchat and seeing from Tinder. I had already messaged her to let her know he had a long-term girlfriend and had been lying. She had contacted him while he was at work. So he assumed that was the only reason I was leaving him. I told him cheating was unforgivable and I was done. While I packed my things, he had the absolute audacity to tell me that when I was ready to deal with my insecurities and apologize, the door would be open. The sheer nerve. I was absolutely furious, but I wasn't in the headspace to argue. I just grabbed my stuff and left. Later, my friends and I decided to go live, just to see what would happen. Almost immediately, that same troll account joined the stream and started trash talking. We all laughed out loud and just said, "We know it's you." The account left right away. About 10 minutes later, he started texting and calling me from an unknown number, screaming, yelling names, accusing me of harassment, and making all sorts of serious accusations. That's when I sent him the link to my original post, and then I went back to staying with a friend. The next morning, I decided I needed to talk to him one last time face to face. When I finally confronted him about the trolling, he broke down crying. He admitted why he did it. He'd gained some weight, felt insecure, and wanted to knock me down a few notches because after therapy and recovering from a knee injury, I'd gained my confidence back. He said I was acting like a hot bitch and needed to be reminded that we were in the same league and to chill the F*** out because he could find any girl that looks like me, if not better. Can you believe that? With help from my family, I was able to get my name off the lease. I'm staying with a friend now. And get this, he's already moved in the girl from Tinder, who's 19. That's where things stand. Everything is documented. I'm no longer living with him, and I'm moving on. I did try for the restraining order, but the police literally called it a ridiculous situation. So, we're choosing to let bygones be bygones. It wasn't some huge, exciting movie ending, but there it is. I'm moving forward, away from that toxic, twisted mess. What would you have done when you found out? Have you ever had someone you trusted betray you in such an unimaginable way? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.